All right, we'll let everybody start to trickle in here. We'll give everybody just 30 seconds here to make sure everyone has a chance to get in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Um, yeah, we still got people jumping in, so we'll give everyone just 20, 30 more seconds, then we'll go ahead and get started and chatting about time tracking and payroll, how to streamline it.
Sounds fun.
I love it. Favorite conversation.
It
Okay.
is. It's a good one.
Looks like we're balancing out. We'll go ahead and get started while everyone else kind of trickles in here. So super excited to have this conversation today about how to streamline time tracking, how to streamline your payroll, how those work together. To have this conversation, we're super excited to have John Stearns on with us. He is from Construction Payroll. They're a really good partner of ours. We do a lot of work together helping clients manage time tracking and payroll. So yeah, John, excited to have you on and excited to have the conversation here.
Thanks, Ryan. Happy to be here.
So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. And there we go. Okay. So simplifying your payroll process. And actually, before I even jump into this, just a couple of things housekeeping wise. Let me make sure the chat is, let's see, up and running where everybody can use it. It's not. Okay. Okay. Chat should be working now. So everybody, if you have questions, feel free to chat those in and we'll be able to answer those, field those, as well as like there's also just the Q&A box. So feel free to drop in the Q&A any questions you have as well. And even while we're just chatting through this, like feel free to drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. And even like what are you using for payroll? What are you using for time tracking? And we'll jump into this conversation. So chat should be live, but also drop in the Q&A. So to just start this off, there we talked about it, just a couple of things here that we thought mattered here to set up the conversation and then looking into the actual product. So simplifying your payroll process. The first thing we talked about, just me and John as we were preparing this, is don't settle. And this is something that was ingrained in me like from business school, or even when I listened to like podcasts, business podcasts on like, hey, it's that conversation of like innovate or die. It's hey, just because this is how we've done something for the last 25 years, 50 years doesn't mean it's how we should do it for the next 25 or 50 years. Um, and even with that, like one of the things that we talk about here internally a lot is the phrase like, oh, well, that's how we've always done things. And we've coined that as like those are the most expensive words in business. Those are the words that just eat businesses up. And we run into this a lot from BusyBusy's side because we'll see companies where they're like, hey, like we've been using paper time cards for 50 years. It works fine. Like this is how we've always done it. And it's just like it's not about like, is it adequate? It's what are the things that are going to help take you to that next level? Because you can't improve what you don't measure. And that they think that's like really the key to this, like don't settle conversation is like you cannot improve what you don't measure.
Yeah, that's really good. And to add to that, Ryan, so like some of the challenges that we see when people are coming to constructionpayroll.com is they're tired of um, inaccurate data from manual entry. So we love when we have a busy customer that's using BusyBusy to collect time so that we can import it directly into our time card worksheet because it really cuts down on all of those errors that happen because we're all humans, we all make mistakes. And so we want to decrease the amount of errors that happen on a weekly basis so that way the data can be more accurate and also save the people that are processing payroll a lot of time. So we love our partnership working with you from that perspective. And then
Thank you.
how we, people, they shouldn't have to be tax experts to process payroll. Like you should be a construction expert. That's what you got in the business of. But there's a lot of tax regulations, especially in construction and when you're crossing state lines, when you're working prevailing wage jobs, when you're working, union jobs. So uh, there are tax challenges that come with that we can help solve as well. And then certified payroll, if anybody has ever had to fill out a certified payroll form, you know that could take 2 minutes per employee. If you have 50 employees that worked on the job, you're looking at I don't know, a couple hours for one form. So, those are some of the challenges that we hear from customers. And then hand keying info into separate systems obviously has its own challenge because it's a lot to keep up with. Did I update this info in this system? Did I update this info in this system? And then you're just kind of playing audit catch up. So those are some of the challenges that we see from people that are wanting to process payroll with us.
Yeah, and even like the inaccurate data, the thing that comes to my mind is I talked to a contractor a couple weeks ago, and they were using a time card system. They were using an app-based system, but then they were using paper time cards for their daily reports still. And their big issue was that that foreman or supervisor, his responsibility was to make sure that that daily matched what was on the time card. And if it was wrong, like that was what was sent over to the GC or the client. So if there was a discrepancy, that was a really big deal. Where talking to them about ours, where it's like, hey, all of the time data is automatically put into that daily report. He doesn't have to go like accidentally miss, an hour here or an hour there. It's already there. He just has to generate it, add in the checklist, add in photos, any notes and context, and he's done. Where it is like anytime you can automate or integrate a system, cuts down on inaccurate time, cuts down on time waste. The other thing too, like just from like an automation and integration standpoint, is making sure that you're not like tripping over dollars to pick up dimes, right? So, uh, like the one thing that I've seen sometimes is like a company will get really hung up on like, well, we're using like this, like one of the many generic payroll companies that are out there, and they claim to have a time tracking system as well. So we're going to use that because it's fully integrated. Well, then the issue turns out to be that it's actually pretty complicated. The employees don't actually use it. And I actually have this where I talked to this payroll admin 6 months ago. She just reached out 3 weeks ago and just like, hey, we can't actually use we can't use their time tracking system. It's actually too complicated. So just making sure that that ease of use is there. If it's something that can automate 80% of what you're doing, then it's still, I think, worth, making sure that you're getting the best of both worlds, but not just sacrificing ease of use and good data in and good data out over something that claims to be fully automated.
And leaving the experts to the experts, right?
Hmm.
Expertise to the experts. So like we have a timekeeping system that we've used on our old ERP or our ERP product. And we started developing one for constructionpayroll.com, and we realized, hey, let's just work with the people that really know how to do this well and make it easy to transfer information because we know payroll really well. We've done it since 87. Y'all know time tracking really well. So let's
Mm,
work together and not try to reinvent the wheel. And, we don't want to be jack of all trades, master of none. And that's what I see what happens in some of these all-in-one solutions is they may have it as an offering, it's on an order form, but does it actually work to perform what the business needs? And most of the
yeah.
time we find the answer is no, unless it's like really, really expensive. So
It's always like a good compliment when people see our product where they're like, okay, wow. And I'm sure you see this John too, where it is like you have to be very intentional with what you say no to building, because it is like we want to stay the experts in what we're really good at.
yeah,
Where people will ask us like, man, this is awesome. Like, can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like that's a totally different product. We're going to be your best in breed time tracking, job costing product. It's really easy to use, so you actually get the data that you need. And then same thing with you guys. It's like, yeah, you guys are the payroll experts. That's where we want to be able to help, send that information to construction payroll, and then you guys can take it from there.
yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Uh, so to just give some quick background on both companies. So BusyBusy, we've been around since 2010. Our founder, Isaac Barlow, comes from the construction space. He was running an excavation company with his brothers when he decided to go ahead and build this, and intentionally was originally for his company only. What caused him to really go, okay, I have to have a better system, was they ended up running a project, and his crew was responsible. I believe they were doing like water lines, and so they were trenching out, putting them in, and they completed the job. And one of the other guys came in, and they were like, hey, you know we lost like $20,000 on that job. Like, way to go. And he's like, there's no way. Like, we did a really good job. We were streamlined. Like, how did this happen? So he got with their office admin and in a spreadsheet put together all of the hours and crunch the numbers to see like, why did we lose money on this job? Turns out they had underbid the job. And so
Mm,
they had been doomed from the beginning. And in fact, because of how streamlined they had been, they saved the company. They should have lost like 50,000, but because of how streamlined his team was in getting the job done, they only lost 20. And that's where he was just like, we need real-time visibility. We can't play this in a the job's done and then 3 weeks after we find out if we made money or not. I want to know in the middle of a job, where are we? Are we going to make money on this job? Are we losing money on this job? What do we need to do? So yeah, that's busy. We got 100,000 individuals using our product every day. And yeah, that's busy.
awesome. So ConstructionPayroll.com, we got started in 1987, and how we got started is our founder, who's actually my father. He was the controller at a large general contractor in Southern California who needed a good union certified payroll system, and he wasn't getting it in his ERP that he was using at the time. So he wrote a payroll module for our accounting package, the AccuBuild. And what we saw is that a lot of companies could benefit from the depth of our payroll knowledge. And so we rewrote our payroll module for the web so that when contractors wanted to get a good certified payroll service, they could use constructionpayroll.com without having to change their time tracking or their accounting system. So our goal is to be like the name, like the ADP, but for construction, because we understand prevailing wage, we understand unions, we understand workers' comp, we understand job costing, we understand how important it is to get the pays and the deductions based off of the GL codes that are in your accounting system. So these are just things that we've learned over the last 40 years in business, or almost 40 years, I should say, um, that separate us from the out of the box payroll solutions that are handling everything but construction well. We process payroll in all 50 states, and we're the best payroll service for the construction industry. And we've seen people increase their efficiency by up to 20 times. Specifically, we have a customer in the Midwest who has 18 states that they process payroll in. They were using the payroll module in AccuBuild prior to signing up with constructionpayroll.com, and it was taking them about 3 days for two people to process payroll. Once they implemented our new service, constructionpayroll.com, they've taken that same payroll of 150 employees across 18 states down to a couple hours. So now the person that's handling the payroll can actually take a vacation. So we love seeing how that has improved their life, and we hope to do the same for you that are listening today.
Sweet. So at this point, let's get into the products. Let's actually see what we're doing with them. We'll start just with walking through BusyBusy, and then we'll jump into construction payroll. And let me just pull this up here.
While Ryan's getting that ready, everybody, I have this thing that I do with Ryan because we've worked together a lot, where I think that he looks or he sounds like Owen Wilson. So if you believe, like, just close your eyes and listen to him talk. If you agree with that, I want to see a poll in the webinar chat. If you think that Ryan, after the end of this call, sounds like Owen Wilson. Okay, go ahead, Ryan. On with your
That's
demo.
yeah, no, this is gonna solve it. This will solve it. Um, while you're typing that into the chat, love to hear just like what everyone's using for time tracking. What's everyone using for payroll? Just to kind of understand who we're talking to here. Are you using paper time cards? Are you on an app yet? As well as I know we have a couple of like existing busy users, so watch out. There are a couple of new features that we'll be showing as well. Can you guys, John, can you see my screen all right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Hey Ryan, screen looks good. Wanted to jump in here really quick. We had a question
Yeah.
come through at the beginning where Mike would just like to know how BusyBusy also works for salaried employees. So as you're going through this, be sure to point that out. And then in order to have a really good poll come through here, I think we also need you to say, wow. Like, that's it. I'll put myself back on mute, but one question and then one request. So
All right, all right. I absolutely able to show from the salaried standpoint. Typically, an employee will have salary employees use the system if they want the job costing out of it. So if they want to know, if it's like a project manager or a supervisor, and they want to know how many hours is that guy spending on job A versus job B, they will have them clock that time still, even though they're still going to get paid their standard 40 hours a week, whatever their pay rate is from a salary standpoint. That's the advantage of doing it. And there is, like, you can absolutely have them do that in here.
And
And
Ryan,
I'll do my best.
On our side, we're going to flag them as a salaried employee. So we will handle the calculations on how that actually works out. But what you guys will provide is like how the spread of those hours go. So that way they can still job cost their salaried employees' time. But when it comes over to us, it's going to be the same rate because they're set up as a salaried employee. So we will handle that side of it, and then you handle the hour side of it, if that makes sense.
It does. And that's like that right there. That's why I need construction payroll. Because that is like, that can be a mess if you're using something else where all of a sudden you might have to adjust hours or different things. So awesome. And yeah, super helpful. Just understand where everybody's at. And I'll do my best. Let's see here. Wow. Wow. That you got two. So yeah, let me know if I'm an Owen Wilson impersonator. So there's a couple ways to track time in BusyBusy. Individuals can track their own time in real time. You can have a crew lead or a foreman, supervisor track time for the crew. They can do that in real time, or they can do that end of day. And then we also have the ability for like a kiosk mode where you can take this app, put it on you can download the app on a tablet and on an iPhone or an iPad, turn it into a kiosk, put it up at the shop, and have people clock in and out on that kiosk with facial recognition. So lots of ways to use the app, or a combination of any of those three or all of those three. What we'll focus on mostly here is just the individual mode though. So as an employee, I'm going to go ahead and clock in, and there's a couple options here. And this maps really to how you're trying to run your business now, and as you try to improve the data you're gathering from the field going forward. So if you're a company and all you're doing is gathering the job, great. Have these guys clock into the project that they're working on. We can turn off the cost codes. If you're not running heavy equipment, turn off the equipment, and that's it. The employees can track time to that job. You're getting the job costing. Or if you're already tracking time to a job, cost code, that's something that they can absolutely capture here. So like as an example, like if we're doing some carpentry work, I'm doing finished carpentry, I can go ahead and clock into that. So whether you're a company that wants to track the job, the phase, the cost code, or just the job, like we're able to match really whatever you're trying to do. Now as an employee, now that I'm clocked in, there's a couple of things that I can do here. One is document photos and notes on the job site. So being able to say, hey, I'm a foreman, I'm going to go ahead and generate a photo here. I'm going to add a note to it, and it's going to automatically tag it to the job. It's not going to save it to my phone as an employee. So as soon as I hit done, that's it. That photo is saved to the account. I can move on as an employee. There's a lot of companies that are doing this. There's still a lot of companies that we talk to that aren't doing this. And I talked to a local contractor. We're in Southern Utah, and these guys stack rock walls here in Southern Utah. And he was telling me that a couple of years ago, then they've used this for like several years, but he had a lawsuit suddenly where an attorney sent him a thing saying like, hey, one of your rock walls collapsed, we're suing you. And so they went to the project in BusyBusy, pulled up the photo file, sent it over to this attorney and said, hey, here's the work we did. We did everything right. They didn't hear from the attorney for like 2 weeks. Finally heard back, and they were like, hey, we did some more digging. Turns out one of the neighbors had dug out a pool. They broke a water line, stuffed a rag in it, and just kept on going. And as a result, that's what caused the rock wall to collapse. We're going over after the the pool company, you guys are in the clear. So like that's the type of liability that just, if you're not doing it, to have those employees take those photos, document those, but then having those in an easy accessible place where you can actually find those when you need them. And that's where we're automatically storing them for you. It's all cloud-based, so it's your own personal Dropbox, so to speak, of your photo documentation and your project information. Employees are able to move from job to job. So again, like this is designed for field employees. They hit that switch button, they move from one job to the next. They can change out their cost codes and continue to work throughout the day. There's also a handful of like GPS features. So the ability to know where these guys are clocking in, where they go throughout the day, as well as even like GPS geofence reminders. So as guys drive into a job site, remembering or having that ping their phone saying, hey, you just drove into a job site, clock in. Same thing as they leave, making sure that they're documenting, remembering to clock out, remembering to switch to that next job. Other thing here is just from a clock out standpoint, we have a couple of sign-off questions. So especially like looking through the couple of people who are still on paper, or if the app you're using doesn't have this capability, this is something that needs to be taking place every day. And it's not just, it's 2024. Companies are really, really good at documenting when an injury takes place. What most companies still aren't doing today is documenting that every day the employee is healthy. So the advantage of that is just making sure that you don't have like a false worker comp claim or a bad actor suddenly come back and say, hey, remember 6 months ago I said I threw my back out. Well, that's on you. I told John, my supervisor, did he not tell you? So it just helps make sure that, if there is an injury, it automatically will send a notification to everyone who's an admin in the account, notifying them that there was an injury, but also you're documenting that non-injury, which is just as important, if not more important, from a liability protection standpoint. Break compliance, and this just depends on each state. So if you're a like California company or a Colorado company, Washington company, this matters way more. We have a couple features specific for our California companies. In the chat, do we have anybody who's in California right now? And then just time accuracy.
We don't, no one said where they're actually from, but I'm sure that there's some California people in
William
there.
raised his hand.
Oh, there you
So
go.
we got a couple. So and I know like even like Canada has that same, like they want to know that those employees are taking their breaks. And then there's also the ability to just generate unique questions for you. So whether that's like, hey, are you eligible for per diem today? If you're generating a daily report in BusyBusy, asking that foreman every day at the end of the day, did you remember to generate your daily report? Did you complete your vehicle inspection? Like whatever that question is, being able to get that answered, and then they're able to hit that submit, and they're done, they're clocked out for the day. Other thing here is, so we have this bulletin feature, and what this allows companies to do is just streamline communication. So typically when we're talking to a contractor, if there's like any type of communication, it's like text message groups, it's WhatsApp, it's email. So this just helps streamline that, where I can come in here and I can generate a message, add a title, add a message, and I can send that to the entire company as an admin. So if it's like, hey, reminder, Thanksgiving, we're off Thursday and Friday, or if it's a very specific, I need to send a message to all of my foremen telling them like, hey, you guys need to be aware of X, Y, and Z. I can request acknowledgement. So it's like your read receipts, making sure people are seeing it, making sure they're acknowledging that, allowing for comments. And that's the ability to just generate those bulletin messages, send those out to your teams. They can review these here. So like here's a message that I sent out to Bracken. So just the ability to view and all of that information. And I mean, I think that pretty well gets us covered here. Again, we do have the ability to have like a supervisor track time for a crew. So that is one thing here. Again, just at least showing this screen is pretty similar to having the employees clock in and out themselves. But as a foreman or supervisor, I'm just doing it for them here. And I just saw that message come in from Kai. So employees, there is an ability to have, like, you can't have employees. It's up to you what you allow employees to do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if you want the employee to be able to edit their time entry at the end of the day and say allocate hours to different jobs, then they can do that. Typically, companies are limiting that access on the employee and saying like, hey, you're able to clock in, clock out, but if you need edits, that's going to be like a foreman, supervisor, or somebody like that. Awesome. I think that gets us pretty well covered here on the app side of things. Dashboard and everything like John said about construction payroll, same thing here. We're a cloud-based system. So as these employees clock in and out, as they take those photos, as they generate daily reports, all of that's going to automatically upload into your dashboard here. So at a glance, I can see actively who's clocked in, who's on break, who's clocked out. Here's all my photos and notes, field reports if I'm utilizing field reports, as well as that daily sign off. So if I realize I have an inaccurate time or an injury I have to address or break issue, all those are just going to pull right here to my system. To jump into though, to like the actual time card payroll aspect of this, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up a specific crew here. So I'm able to review time, and this expanded view is the most commonly used. It looks the most like a time card view. So I can see here I've got Cosmo, and I can see Monday through Friday, the hours that he worked each day, the job he worked on, cost codes worked on. I'm able to just view everything here. If I realize there's a mistake, I can click this, make any adjustments. So this is where, like, as an admin, payroll person, I'm able to make these final adjustments before I want to kick this time over into like construction payroll for the actual payroll processing. And Barry, I just saw your question as well. So time power. Let me actually just show, and we'll see if anybody's clocked in here. So GPS, it's going to show everyone who's actively logged in to BusyBusy. So it doesn't track location on employees when they're clocked out, but when they're clocked in, you can pull this up and see right where they are even live on a map view. So I can see I've got Mike way over here in Denver, Northern Utah. I've got Wes way over here. I've got a couple other folks here. So really easy to see where people are, and it's all recorded. So if you need to go back and look at that, we call it like GPS breadcrumbing. You're able to see where these guys were, what they did, and just verify that everything looks right. One quick thing here as well. So from a budgeting standpoint, actually, let me do one quick thing here. So budgets, the ability to come in here and as you are starting a job or halfway through a job even, you can pull this up and you can generate from an how many hours are we planning on taking on this job? What is the labor cost going to be on this job? So for this job specifically, if I click in here, I can see, okay, we're 36% through our labor hour budget, but we're 44% through our cost. Why? Did we have another foreman that we didn't anticipate, or what's causing that? You can also generate budgets for each cost code if you're tracking cost codes. So like here I can see, hey, we're 80% through the labor hours, 70% through the labor cost. So just the ability to see what's going on a job. And again, it's that like real time, are we making money? Are we losing money? What do we need to do to make sure this job is profitable? Two more things, and then we'll pass it over to John here. So document storage. So again, typically when we're talking to a contractor, this is in a folder or like a binder in the foreman's truck, or it's something that they're just emailing over. So you can download your photos or upload your photo or documents into BusyBusy. That way, if a foreman needs to pull that up on his phone, on his tablet, he can pull those up right away. And even just to show that super quickly. So per project, I'm able to see all of the documents stored on that job. So really easy to go in there, pull up a document, know what's going on. They don't have to go filter through their email or try and find it so they're able to view those documents. And then the last thing here is just the project activity report. So being able to see how many hours have we spent on a job. If you're entering in like a hourly rate for each employee, what's the labor cost estimate for this project? So being able to see what's going on. And again, like to pull up this Morrow High job. And let's go to last month here. So I can say I had 160 hours, $4,000 in cost. I can see the hours each of these employees worked, what cost codes they worked on. They were doing install the whole time. So it's just that ability to see what's going on in a job site and making sure that things look right, things are going according to plan. And that gets us pretty well covered through the BusyBusy app. There's a handful of other things, but want to also make sure that we have time for questions and time for John. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to John.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan. I am going to share my screen. Also, I believe that people agree with me about Owen Wilson. I do have to do
Yes,
my
sir.
screen twice. I apologize, but when I'm at trade shows with these guys, their product does really well because people are like, yeah, I want a new app. I want something shiny. I want to be able to get my hands on something that's going to make my job easier out in the field. But then I kind of look for the controllers, the office managers, the CFOs that are walking around because this is where our product gets exciting for them. People don't want to change payroll often, and I just want to share real quick the 5 reasons why people come to us and why they would want to change payroll, because it's not something that you want to do every day. Accurate job costing, number one. If you're not job costing, your job is likely costing you. And then most of the companies that we're interacting with, they're running payroll twice. Once in their payroll system, once in their job cost accounting system, because they don't always talk to each other. So accurate job costing. 2, complex payroll. So like multi-state, multi-rate, union, certified payroll. That's what we have done since the beginning of our inception. I realize that's a redundancy. I apologize. Since our inception. And people who get awarded a prevailing wage job, or they are a union contractor starting to do more union work, that's when they will come to us, because our team helps them set it up in the right way every time as a part of our service. 3, customer support. I hear this all the time. Hey, I'm processing with ADP. They take 3 days to get back to me. And by the time they actually got back to me, I've already processed the payroll. Payroll support is sensitive. And so we want to get support back to you same day. So our SLA, our service level agreement, is that we will contact you within 4 hours or less on a payroll issue. So that way you can know that you're going to get it handled in time. 4, tax expertise. Like a lot of times payroll is being run by someone in the business that may not be a tax expert. There aren't a lot of tax experts there, but we are tax experts, and we have software that helps us be even better tax experts. So you shouldn't have to be a tax expert. We want to handle that for you and handle all your tax calculations correctly and also your tax payments correctly. And then finally, integrations. We don't think that companies actually find a good all-in-one solution, which is why we decided to make it really easy to import information in construction payroll and export information really easily with all the detail that's necessary. So there's a recap of those 5 reasons. And then one thing that is a little bit unique to us as a company is that we offer mental health care for all your employees that are paid through our platform. There is some stuff in the construction industry that we recognize is a little bit more than other industries because their jobs are hard. When they're out in the field, we see higher divorce rates, we see higher depression, we see higher addiction. So ConstructionPayroll.com has a 501c3 that actually offers real-time care for all of the employees and their families who are paid through our platform. So that's a little bit something unique about us. Now that I've shared why people come to us, let me show you how easy it is to actually process a payroll once we have collected the time from BusyBusy. hold on, one day I will get really good at sharing screens, y'all. I promise.
No worries.
Huh?
While you're pulling that up, I do think like what you guys are doing for the employees is super cool. Just to like reemphasize, everyone's here to improve, do jobs, get their work done, go home. Where I think that extra piece is super important. Just make sure, yeah, like we're taking good care of folks and making sure everybody's good.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's our company goal. Our 10-year goal is to improve over 1 million lives in construction. And so, that includes the workers, that includes the people that are processing the payroll so that they can take vacations now. Like it includes their families. So we're in it for more than just being a profitable company. Like we actually want to make a difference in what we're doing. All right, so here's the home screen for ConstructionPayroll.com. I'm going to click on payroll and go to submit payroll. By the way, the company setup, this is what our team helps you set up when you go live with us in construction payroll, where you're setting up your prevailing wage and union rates, all the workers' comp codes that are associated with your workers' comp insurance, your chart of accounts that matches your accounting system. So that way, when you export the payroll file, it actually matches what's in your accounting system. So our team does all of this setup for you and then just teaches you how to maintain it as a part of our service. So let me just go ahead and go to submit payroll. And oh, I have an old payroll in here. Let me delete that. My apologies. Awesome. Let me refresh. Okay. So I'm going to add a pay period and I will do Sunday through Saturday, and I'll do a check date of the 5th. At this point, it's going to ask me if I want to add salaried employees. So the salaried employees that we were talking about in BusyBusy, where you want to actually cost their time, we have the ability to flag them in our system as a salaried employee, but they would still enter their time as an hourly employee, but our system would calculate it at their salaried rate. These salaried employees that I'm going to add are the back office folks that we don't need to track their time. So we handle both the salaried employees from the field, the salaried employees in the back office, and the hourly employees that are working as well. All right, so I'm going to create those salaried records. So those are set and ready to go. Don't pay attention to all the zeros right now. It's because I have to calculate the taxes. But before I do that, let me show you how to import time from BusyBusy. So I'm going to go to this time card worksheet, make sure that my date parameters are correct, and click import time. So I've got the time here ready to go. This is our time card worksheet field mapping screen where we map the columns in the Excel file from BusyBusy to the columns in ConstructionPayroll.com. Once we have done that one time, we can click here to save it as a template, and then it's just available as a drop down. So that way we don't have to keep mapping them over and over again. So that's it. That is the time from BusyBusy into our time card worksheet and is ready to be processed. I will click save. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that like I didn't really walk through, yeah, like that process of from once you're done in BusyBusy, it's a couple clicks to kick it right over to construction payroll. To John's point, like it's a one-time template click, everything's mapped over, and going forward after that, it's gonna be look at it, review it, couple of clicks, kick it over into construction payroll, and you're processing payroll.
Yep. And that's how we've been able to help companies and people that are processing payroll take vacations again, because we've just made it super easy. All right, so there's that pay period that I added for the salaried employees on the previous screen. I'm going to click process, confirm, and now that time is actually over here. So I've gone from 14 salaried employees to 17 total employees, and now I'm ready to calculate the taxes. So ConstructionPayroll.com has a very sophisticated tax engine that will calculate taxes, all federal, state, and local taxes at the GPS location of the job. If there is no job address, because, hey, we're in construction, things don't always have an address, we can also do latitude and longitude as well. Jerry and George, shout out to my Seinfeld fans. I'm showing my age. That is my show. I love Seinfeld. Jerry and George have an override in their federal withholdings in their employee file. So the tax engine will take that into consideration before it calculates. And there we go. So I have time here for these 17 employees with the detail of the hours, the gross amount, the employee's tax, the employer's tax, the net amount, and whether or not they are getting a check or direct deposit. We do not offer check printing as a service. However, we give you the template that you need to print checks on site. Usually in construction, if you need a paycheck, you need it that day. And so most construction companies are not using an overnighted check service like an ADP or Paylocity. And I don't know if we want to get into that business, to be honest. It's a lot of work to overnight checks, but we handle the direct deposit on your behalf. So you can also drill down at this point and look at anybody's miscellaneous pays and deductions and make sure that everything looks good, make any edits necessary. But I will just go ahead and click Review Payroll because this is going to take us to our final screen. We have some pre-processing reports that you need to look through in order to process the payroll. The first one is the pre-check tax register. This is like a large pay stub where it gives the employee and all of the details across the top. This report has totals at the bottom as well. So you can, sorry, I'm going to scroll fast. Close your eyes if you get motion sickness, I apologize. And you can see the totals of the report down here at the bottom. So that's the first required report that you need to look through before you can finalize. The second one is the time card listing by employee. This becomes more applicable when you're doing certified payroll because it gives the spread of the certified payroll hours. You can also print all of these to PDF as well and share them before you finalize the payroll if you have a different approval process in your business. This is the one that the business owner usually wants to see before we process payroll. It has the payroll summary cash requirement. So this gives the full burden of the payroll. For these 17 employees, we all know that just their pay is not the full burden. There's employer taxes, there's workers' comp insurance, there's union dues, there's things that add to that payroll expense, but this is the full burden here. All right, we also have some additional reports that are really common that people want to run. That are optional. Union report, this is a standard union report that we use. Gives the standard time, overtime, double time, and triple time. Workers' compensation report, we found this one's really popular to provide to the workers' comp insurance. In construction, your rate changes whether or not your people are working on the ground or working on the roof or they're in a heavy machinery. This one will take into account what they were doing on the job, so that way you can provide accurate workers' comp insurance and get the best rates possible for your business. We produce the federal certified payroll report form automatically. This is the one that I was talking about. If you have 50 employees, it takes about 2 minutes per employee to fill out. And so you've got a form just with a click of a button because we already have all that payroll data ready to go. And then time card listing by job. We also have a full library of reports that come standard with the system, as well as some date ranging capabilities. A lot of our folks that have to work with prevailing wage usually have to use LCPTracker. So LCPTracker or other agencies that are applicable like that, they're going to want data from payroll in order to get into their system. We've made it easy to do that by giving you the ability to generate pay periods into the format that companies like LCP need in order to satisfy their requirements. I'm going to go back to the submit payroll. I'm getting a little tired of the sound of my voice. I promise that it is almost over. So I've reviewed the required reports and now I'm going to click proceed. At this point, the ACH file is ready to go in the background. We work with one processing partner to move funds from your business bank account as a lump sum withdrawal, and then disperse those funds to all of your employees. They can have up to, I think, 10 different direct deposit accounts that they work with. But I will show you real quick how easy it is, and you don't have to Actually, this part is not that easy. Let me take that back. You get your own grid key. As long as you have it up and going and ready to type in, then it's easy. It is harder to do when you actually have to talk about it too. So a lot of people ask us at this point, oh, do I have to change banks? No, we're just not a money service business. And so we don't have the federal insurance, nor do we want the federal responsibility of moving funds from your business bank account to your employee's account. However, because we have one partner that does this, it actually prevents you from experiencing payroll fraud. A lot of people don't know an ACH file is just a text file that's on a computer. If you download it from your accounting system and have to submit it to your bank, it actually exposes you to more payroll fraud than you would like to believe. So we remove that by not letting anybody download any ACH files out of our system. So it protects you from employee who might be a little rogue. We've all had them. This will keep it from exposing your business to payroll fraud. I'm going to email the direct deposits for the date of the check. We also have an employee portal that each employee will get their own login where they can download their pay stub. I'm going to print the checks that I needed for Jerry, for George, and then a few other people need checks as well. You can order checks here or just get some pre-printed check stock or blank check stock. Our system can handle both. We can print checks in this format, check, stub, stub. So that's the format that you would need. And the final step is to create the accounting records. We have a direct API sync with QuickBooks Online. So if there's anybody out there that's using QuickBooks Online, you actually would be completely done with your payroll because we have a sync with their API. For those that are using a more sophisticated job costing accounting system, we would click export the payroll file, and then that is going to export the payroll file with all the detail on the GL accounts. Let me share that instead. Are you guys still seeing the finalized payroll screen or no?
Yes.
Okay,
The
hold on.
success check mark.
Yep, hold on a second. I just want my accounting people to know that we give the detail at that export. So it gives, you know, each person's name, their ID, it gives the pay types and deductions here. And then here's the most important thing. It gives the associated GL accounts from your accounting system. So that way, when you go to import this into, you know, one of the, I saw a Sage 100, I saw a Sage 300, I saw QuickBooks Enterprise. This is the key. We need these miscellaneous pays and deductions to be associated with the correct GL accounts in your accounting system so that you can actually job cost your time. And that's all I have. I will not share another screen. I got to limit that in the future, but you can see it's super easy. You know, we take the time in, we calculate the taxes, we finalize payroll, we take care of the direct deposit, we give you the construction reports that you need to run your business and give you the detail that's needed in order to get it back into your cost accounting system. Okay, I'm done. I don't sound like Owen Wilson, so I need to stop.
A quick question for you. You're almost done. Barry asked about 401ks. So if they have one through their other payroll system, what's that look like with construction payroll?
Yeah, so we have a 401k report that you can run in our system. We don't actually do the 401k disbursements, but we give you the payroll reports that you need in order to do those disbursements on your own.
Awesome. And then does the system have custom reporting?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer custom reporting as a service, I should say. Okay. We don't have like a custom report writer in the system, but under, I'm not going to attempt to share it. Let me just answer it. Under the reports section, there was another drop down that said custom reports. So our team can create custom reports for you utilizing Power BI. And then we hope, I will make a caveat, we don't have this today. Let me just be clear about that. But we hope to have the ability to have a custom report writer in the system so that people can do their own custom reporting. But that takes a little bit more time and effort. So.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
I did see one question, and I think it's worth mentioning. So Barry just saying like, hey, using paychecks,
Yeah.
this BusyBusy can BusyBusy push time data there? The answer is yes. We can push time data to any payroll system, just like construction payroll can accept an import from any time system. So we are not, you don't have to use this together. A lot of companies do.
Yeah.
Hopefully after looking at both systems, it makes sense to use both of our systems. But yeah, I mean, we both have the ability to accept imports or push imports. I did see another question from Kiera, Canada. John, can you guys run payroll in Canada?
We can't. I wish we could. I get that request probably, once or twice a month right now. And it has to do with our tax engine and our ability to pay taxes on your behalf, because we get power of attorney to pay your taxes from our tax experts when you sign up with us. And we don't have the requirements built out yet for getting those power of attorneys for Canada. Actually, our tax engine can handle Canada. I misspoke there, but we don't have the business process yet to process payroll. So just hang in there. Canada, you are on our radar. Our neighbors of the north, we love you. We just can't serve you yet.
I saw there was one question that came in on the Q&A, and I think it's worth just answering out loud as well. So it was like, hey, what's the rollout look like? What does training look like? Also, what does that look like if we have crews that are predominantly made up of native Spanish-speaking employees? So I'll answer that first. So BusyBusy, the rollout, we set you up with an integration or onboarding specialist whose whole job is to help you get it set up. They help do the training. They help get your employees onto the system. It's typically like a week to 2 weeks if you're moving your employees from paper to get them used to the system. If you're moving them from another app, we're talking about a couple days. And then on top of that, we have a handful of onboarding specialists who are native Spanish speakers. So we will do trainings for those folks. The app also does come in Spanish. So if their phone language is set to Spanish, the app will be in Spanish. So we're very, very hands-on in terms of making sure we're able to help you guys get this system up and running. Our support team is awesome. It's about 4 minutes if you chat in a question to get a response. So hopefully that gets that answered.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then on our side, we from the time you sign your proposal with us, and you're looking at 30 days or less as far as a go live. But we just work at your pace. It depends on the complexity of the payroll. We've seen it happen as quick as a week to get up and running. But if you're running a prevailing wage, payroll or a union payroll that has multi-state, multi-rate, it can take up to 30 days. We also, you get your own dedicated onboarding person during our process that you work with until go live. We actually will introduce you to that person prior to signing contracts so that you can know who you are getting before you decide to get into this relationship with us. And then as far as helping out with the Spanish speakers, I will say that our 501c3 CP Life Services has Spanish speaking as well as English, and I believe Farsi right now. So if there are Spanish speakers that need to access CP Life Services, they can help with that. And we have some Spanish speakers on staff as well to help with support if that's necessary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Julie, who's a GC out of Southern California, doing a lot of solar work, are going to have to start doing prevailing wage on solar. So the question is like, hey, I think it's can we help? Can you help with a small business like theirs? And answer, yes.
Absolutely, Julie. Our smallest customer in Southern California has 2 employees. So, if you're looking for a partner to help you get spun up on a prevailing wage job, I know that BusyBusy can help out. We would love to help you out too. And we will, fill in the gaps where there are gaps for you and give you the answers that I think you're looking for. Or the guidance, I should say. You're still responsible for it, but our team has been doing it for almost 40 years. So they will offer the support to get you set up right.
Another quick question for you, John. If a client of BusyBusy wants to chat with you about pricing and get a better understanding of that, is that listed somewhere on your website, or do they reach out to you to get that info?
They can reach out to me to get that info. We
Okay.
are not as forthright with our pricing as our team at BusyBusy here is, because we've got some specific competitors that we're working with, but I'm happy to share our pricing with you. It's simple and straightforward. It's basically a base fee plus a per check fee, and that includes everything in our service. So there's no like modulars that you have to add on. It's very simple, straightforward pricing.
We love simple and straightforward pricing. So
Come on.
Portia, I'll put you and John in touch.
And
Julie, I would love to help you too. Like 2 or 3, great. Let's go. We'd love to help you out.
one thing, John, okay, actually, never mind. I think I found it. Are you cool if I just throw your meeting link in the chat?
Yes,
So
sir.
I am adding, so there's John's personal meeting link I just added. I'll add my own as well. So that way, like if you have questions, you want to hop on a call and just dive into this specifically for your business. So John's is the top one. I just threw mine in. Feel free to grab a quick time on our calendar. I did see a question. I don't know if it got answered in the chat. BusyBusy does work in Canada. So if you are a Canadian company, you want to use us for your time tracking system, that is something we can absolutely do. Then, well, let's see.
You should ask someone to just like type in a bunch of exclamation points if their question wasn't answered, so you know.
That's right. That's right. I'm trying to scroll through this really quick. Construction payroll service. Okay.
I think we
Nope,
got them
I think
all.
we got them. I think that
Cool.
was it. Yeah.
I've been a keyboard hero over here, so.
You have.
Perfect.
You slayed.
That's right.
Did I use that right, Bracken?
Yeah, you used it right. I'm always here to slay.
Oh.
Bracken taught John a new word before we jumped on, so he got to use it.
And then she was like, "Oh, it's kind of like groovy," and I said, "I'm not that old, Bracken. Come on, give me some credit."
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody hopping on. I don't see any other questions coming through, so I think we got everybody taken care of. Again, feel free to jump on mine or John's calendar if needed. We will send a recording of this out as well, so no worries there. We'll get that sent out to you in the next day or two. And yeah, looking forward to chatting with everybody and see you on the next webinar.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
See
Thanks,
ya.
guys.